It is January 22nd at 6:30. Thank you for attending our school board meeting. Mrs. Hahn, roll call. Present.
Present.
Here.
Okay. And Sam, one of our spelling bee winners, is going to stand in his seat. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and thank you, Sam, and we're going to have you come up in just a little while, so don't disappear, okay? All right. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is adopted as written. Okay, that brings us to our call to the public. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda item. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that may be offensive or inappropriate, pursuant to board policy KFA. And when you come up, if you'll please state your name. I do only have one speaker card, and it's Tomasita Pena. You want to come on up? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Tomasita Pena. I live at 16560 North Crested Butte Road. I am speaking on behalf of 7 families living near me who are affected by the new pickup location for their children attending either Maricopa High School, Wells Middle School, or the Maricopa Elementary School. There's approximately 7 children that pick up the bus in the morning. For middle school, 1 high school child, and 5 middle school kids in the morning, and also get dropped off in the afternoon. The MUSD bus department has changed the pickup location this school year. The present location is the corner of Hidden Valley and Farrell Roads, 6 miles west from John Wayne Parkway. This is to give you an idea how far we are from, downtown Maricopa. For the last 15 plus years, the school bus pickup was at the corner of Crested Butte Road and Farrell Road. The following are some of the reasons our families do not approve of the current pickup location. First of all, most important reason is the safety issue. Because also we're so far away, it takes about 15 minutes for an emergency vehicle to come out there in the first place. We have had an increase of crime in this area. At the end of Farrell Road is a very secluded area that seems to draw people to stay overnight sometimes and leave early in the morning. Sometimes there's also a rock quarry out there, and we have had stolen cars get burnt up. We've had, I'm the president of the community water well there, and we've had the need to spend $8,000 to put in a dawn to dusk light because we've had our wells shot up, vandalized. And this is just to give you a backdrop of what all is going around there, some of the safety issues that could have impact on our children walking to the school bus. The community well has just spent over $8,000 down to dusk light. I already said that, okay. Number 2, earlier in the year, of course, it was cold and dark for the children to walk to the bus stop, so parents had to find a way to drive them to the location. Sometimes the children couldn't attend school because the parents had no way to go drop them off. Parents have had to wait up to half an hour with their cars running to keep the children warm. Parents with some children have had to bundle them, with small, babies, have to bundle them also and wait with their siblings for the bus because there was no one to stay at home to watch them. Sometimes when the half hour is, the reason is because the buses have to cross the railroad tracks. And so there's some days that'll take them 15 more minutes for the bus to go and pick up the kids. And sometimes the parents don't know this, okay? when the train is going to go past the railroad tracks and take more time. Now, this is where I want to stress more. At the crossroads of Hidden Valley and Farrell, there's been an increase in traffic due to the development around us in the area. Many people traveling in the morning to and from their work drive very fast. It's only a two-way stop. And we've had one of the parents was waiting for the bus, and he said that there was one time when the bus had already the flashing lights, had just put up the stop sign, okay? And here comes this semi-truck just barreling down the road, didn't acknowledge, didn't slow down, nothing, okay? That was only one incident that one of the parents told me about. Another parent has told me that waiting. Yes, I'm sorry. This corner should be a four-way stop with pedestrian crosswalks, but unfortunately, the Pinal County Highway spokesperson told me that it would take a long time for an assessment to see if it really is necessary. I say to the board tonight that I would not like to see an incident like maybe a kidnapping or a car accident or a child crossing the road to be run over by a driver on his or her cell phone or his or her way to work late because someone makes the decision to make it safe for our children to go to school. I therefore request respectfully that the MUSD transportation personnel resume picking up the children at the previous location. The potential risks of the child-involved accident is much higher than the school's budget bottom line is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Chestnut, can I give you this to look into that? And you have this letter too, right? Okay. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate that. Seeing there are no other call to the public cards, we will move on with our agenda item, and that brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut, I feel like you're way.
Yes, I am. We have several things to talk about tonight, and so to begin with, we have Rotary Students of the Month, and I will turn it over to Rotary Club members Monica Rubio, Alma Farrell, and Leon Potter to do the honors.
Dr. Chestnut, Governing Board Chair, Mrs. Anderson, and Governing Board members, thank you again for allowing Rotary to use your meetings to recognize our students that we honor each month. We have several students this evening. We have some that weren't able to make it to a former board meeting, so we have more than 4. And I would like to acknowledge the parents, teachers, and all the administrators, and thank you for supporting your child and their students and your students in their education. You are the most important person in their life right now, and your support is monumental to assist them. I'd like to say that to each student they will have a folder, and in their folder they have the 4-way test, which is very important. It's a Rotary. Rotary is a 4-way test. Spoken words for Rotary, and the information will be very important to them as you apply for scholarships in May. So please pay attention to that Rotary pin and the 4-way test when you get your folder. Each student will receive a certificate and a letter from Rotary. They will have a gift card and also the pin with the 4-way test on it. So the first student that I would like to recognize this evening is Wendy Reardon. If Wendy could please come forward. Wendy is a 12th grade student at Cabot in her 2nd year in advanced law enforcement. Her goal is to be a law enforcement officer specializing in K-9 units. She's currently attending ASU of CAC Administration of Justice program. Congratulations for being such an outstanding student, Wendy. So highly motivated with clear goals towards your future as a law enforcement officer. She's also enrolled in many other activities such as dance, orchestra, and she also exhibits pigs at the Pinal County 4-H Fair, and she also volunteers at her church. She is the daughter of Steve and Maria Reardon, and her father is a former law enforcement officer also. The next student that we would like to recognize is Todd Hull. Todd is also a Cabot student in his second year in the Cabot Fire Science program, and he has chosen as a career to become a firefighter. Rotary's told that he's enrolled in honors advanced placement classes. Aside from being an honor student, he is part of the Cabot Skills USA competition team. He's a member of the Maricopa High School track team, and he has lettered as part of the Maricopa High School football team, as well as being a member of a community church. Most important, Mr. Glover, Cabot superintendent, says that Todd Hull is a student that excels in everything that he does. He's greatly motivated to succeed and helps other students in need, and his attention to detail will make him an excellent firefighter. His parents are Tim and Gina Hull. Okay. Our next student is Gretchen Lauterbach. Gretchen, please come forward. Gretchen is also a 12th grade student at Maricopa High School, and she's involved in many activities, such as the Maricopa High School Orchestra, the after-school club, basketball team, track team, golf and tennis team. She's rated with good citizenship status, as well as an established honor student enrolled in AP Literature and Government classes. It's impressive to us that she is a member of the National Honor Society with a weighted GPA of 4.3. She was nominated by Mr. Koselis, and he's the one who told us about all the wonderful things that she's involved in. Parents are Mr. and Mrs. Brian Lauterbach. Our next two students are middle school students. The first one is Longman Pine. Longman is a Maricopa Wells Middle School 8th grader, and he has a 3.67 GPA. Rotary's told that he is a great example of Panther style with outstanding citizenship status, and Maricopa Wells Middle School is extremely proud of his citizenship and his contributions to their school and community. He's a great representative of Maricopa Wells. And he has been selected by his classmates to be their student council representative. He also participates in the basketball and football programs. In addition, he has also served as a manager for the Maricopa Wells Middle School girls volleyball team. And it's also reported to us that he's helped with the Maricopa Youth Center programs and activities, and that he spends his personal time in his neighborhood picking up trash because he wants his neighborhood to be clean and a safe place to live in. He lives with his brother, Wellington Pine. His dad is Joe Pine, and his mother's deceased was Cecilia Pine. Please join me in congratulating him. Our next student is a Desert Winds Middle School student, Jameson Hennigan. He's also reported as having outstanding citizenship status and a great GPA. He's a member of the band and football team at Desert Winds. Mrs. Shorey nominated him for this award, and she reports that he is an exemplary student. He works hard and always seeks advice on how he could do better. She also says that he is very encouraging to his classmates, helping them with work, asking them if they are okay, and just being a friend to them. As an athlete, he's able to balance academics and athletics beautifully. It's also reported that Jameson is a very respectful young man who works hard to make others feel valued, respected, and important. Mrs. Shorey states, "It's with great honor that I have taught Jameson from the 6th grade through the 8th grade, and she looks forward to seeing what successes the future holds for him, as he is a true example of a scholar and athlete at Desert Winds Middle School." And his parents are Anthony and Denise Hennigan. We're proud to have all these students as Rotary Students of the Month, and we look forward to being here next month again. Thank you.
Can we have all the students and the Rotary Club stand in the center
Sure.
so Mr. Beckett can get a
Students?
picture? Mr. Beckett, you're becoming quite the photographer.
Congratulations to Rotary Students of the Month. A lot of outstanding students there. It's always fun to hear about their accomplishments, the great work they're doing, and we know that comes with a lot of parental support, and we're very appreciative of that as well. So keeping in the spirit of recognizing student accomplishments, our annual elementary school spelling bee was held last night, and we have some winners with us, and I'd like them to come up. They received their trophies last night, but we wanted to recognize them here at the board meeting, so we want to come up and get a picture with the governing board. So in third place was Bianca Oliveras. Is Bianca here? Come on up, Bianca. In second place was Sam Peters. And in first place was Ariana Veda. Is Ariana here? Good job on the spelling bee to our students. That's a great contest. Next up, our student representative report from Sydnee Akers.
Hello. Going. Congratulations to our spelling bee winners. I was always the first one out in a spelling bee. Yesterday we had, excuse me, let's try that again. Yesterday we had our DECA regional district competition, so we took about 50 kids with us. Coming out, we had about 37 medals, which is actually really, really well. So I'm really proud of all those kids. We will travel to state next month, so I medaled, but that's beside the point. We travel to state next month, so there we get to compete with our written events and our role plays and all that good stuff. And then in April, we travel to Atlanta, Georgia for ICDC, which is our international competition. Tomorrow, our student council chapter, so 12 members, are leaving for AASC Student Council Convention, which is a leadership retreat where all the councils in Arizona go, and we get to meet with a bunch of motivational speakers and kind of bring together all of our ideas so we can make the schools this year and next year as great as we possibly can. Today, we went and visited our prom venue sites, which I was really excited about, so that was really cool. Our basketball, soccer, and wrestling teams are actually doing very well this season. I got to look at our newsletter, and everything's in there. So if you have any questions, go to the newsletter. Just a heads up, I just found out this today, but if there are any senior parents watching, we have a scholarship board, like full of scholarships for the seniors.
That they can apply for?
Yeah, that they can apply for. And there's like hundreds of them just on this board.
The board at the high school?
Yep, it's in the office.
It's in the office, okay. So
I had
anybody
no idea that
listening,
existed.
in TV land, the senior scholarships are listed in the office on the bulletin board.
Yes.
Okay.
Just side note. Oh, and also 4 months till graduation. Woo! Other than that, I want to congratulate you on your award, Patty. And thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you, Sydney. She did mention our school district newsletter, which was out yesterday, and there are copies on the table in the foyer, so feel free to pick one of those up. It's got all the latest news in there, including news about our mobile app, so you can really keep up on us 24/7 with all those options. A couple other things to report on. First of all, I'd like to offer congratulations to the MUSD staff members of the month from Santa Cruz Elementary. Santa Cruz is our featured school tonight. You're going to be hearing more about Santa Cruz, and we get to honor a couple outstanding staff members tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about them before I have them come up. First of all, I'd like to recognize the certified staff member of the month, Mr. Peter Petrides. He joined Santa Cruz Elementary School this year as the K-6 PE teacher. He was nominated by staff members to be recognized because of the many hats he has worn this year. Mr. Petrides always steps up to the plate to serve the school's needs. He has taken the lead over the supervision of our students during lunch recess, and there have been reports of him actually being in 2 places at once. He's a very talented person. Mr. Petrides' most common phrases have been, "I can do that, I'll take care of that, what can I do to help, and just tell me what you need." Our students respect him because he models respect. Our staff respects him because he is a team player. In addition to his PE classes, he assists with reading and math interventions and coaches our 6th grade intramural sports after-school teams. Everything he does is done with a positive attitude and a smile. So, Mr. Petrides, if you'd like to come up, we have a certificate for you. And I would also like to recognize the Santa Cruz Elementary classified staff member of the month, and that is Mrs. Alice Schoaf. Unfortunately, she is not feeling well and is not able to be here with us tonight, but I do want to tell you about her. Mrs. Alice Schoaf joined the Santa Cruz community in January of 2012 as food service site lead. She was nominated by staff members for this recognition because of her diligence, patience, and the wonderful meals she serves us every day. Regarding her diligence, we can always count on her. Miss Alice, as the kids call her, can transform a cafeteria into an assembly hall and back into cafe style with lightning speed. She comes to work every day with a positive attitude and supports our school any way she can. Regarding her patience, she always greets children with a smile and a kind word. She knows their names and treats them with respect. Regarding her meals, she takes great pride in serving nutritious meals that look great and taste great too. Mrs. Alice Schoaf is dedicated to her job, but more importantly, dedicated to children. So I'll ask Principal Gina Chaffin to come up and get the certificate. and we'll be hearing more from Santa Cruz in just a moment. A couple other things. On the 15th, last week, I had the opportunity to go to the Maricopa Wells Middle School 20+1 program and their Future Cities competition. They did demonstrations for us, all the teams performing in front of judges in preparation for the big regional contest this weekend in Phoenix. And Mr. Abel and myself, a couple other teachers, you can see in the picture, were able to be one of the sets of judges. We had 2 sets of judges, and I was very impressed with the presentations. I just thought they were better overall than last year. The oral presentations were wonderful. The actual city models themselves were really impressive, and so we're looking forward to what's going to happen in the competition this week. Desert Wind will be participating also, so it's a great contest for our students, and thank the 20+1 teachers for making that happen. On the 17th, Sheriff Babu and County Attorney Lando Voiles were at Santa Cruz Elementary, and they did an assembly for the 6th grade students, so that's pretty cool when you get county officials in town to do that kind of stuff. Also, on the 17th, Governor Brewer unveiled her budget, and of course, education is a big part of the state budget, K-12 public education, and her proposal is for a 1.4% inflation increase in the base level, which would increase the amount of funds the state allocates per student from $3,327 this year to $3,373. Now, that's not all the funding we receive. There are additional add-ons for special education students and many other programs, but there's a base level funding, and so it's nice to see that there's a small increase in her budget proposal. Also, she has included funding for district-funded charter schools. That would, because there are about 50 new district-funded charter schools in the state this year, which will cost about $34.4 million to fund. And so she is proposing that that funding continue, and that would include our 6 charter schools. She has proposed a program called Student Success Funding, which would be $40 million of new funding, new money that would actually reward schools for improving student achievement. And then she's also proposed something very interesting, a statewide fiber network that would actually cost $350 million over 6 years to make sure that all school districts, including remote and rural districts, have access to fiber optics and computer labs and wireless technology and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of an ambitious proposal. So there's still a long ways to go with the legislative session. As you know, it won't end until about May, but that's their big task, really. One of the big tasks is to adopt the budget. And so I would like to remind people that information contacting our legislators is available on the table in the foyer if you want to get in touch with them. And I'm trying to remember if we posted it on our website. I'm trying to remember.
If you go to azsba.org, there's a Take Action page. And they've actually got ready-made letters and everything. All you have to do is click on it and put in your zip code and it'll send it to your representatives. So it's important that we all get involved and do that.
Moving on the 18th, it was announced that Catherine Persitz, a Maricopa High School English teacher, was the Chamber of Commerce Educator-of-the-Year. And so we're very proud of Catherine. She was one of our 3 teacher winners of the Best of the Best award last year for Maricopa Unified School District staff. And so she's a well-regarded, highly regarded teacher in our school district. We're very proud of her and the good work that she does. And then I meant to have a slide honoring the Volunteer of the Year, which is Patty Coutre. So congratulations to Patty for receiving that award. So it was a great night for MUSD at the Chamber banquet. I want to remind you also about the kindergarten roundup at all MUSD elementary schools on January 28th from 5 to 7. If your child will be in kindergarten next year, we want to round them up that day, and you can get your child registered at that time. There's a list of stuff you need to bring, including your child's original birth certificate, your child's official immunization record, proof of address, and we'll get you all registered. So it's already time to start thinking about the next school year, and we're looking forward to welcoming those new kindergarten students in August. I want to remind you that the MUSD Budget Committee is about to start working. On the 29th will be our first meeting, and all the reminders have gone out. We have 6 meetings scheduled over the next several months, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. Jim Irving and Rick Nielsen will be the co-chairs, and so that's a big project that will result in recommendations to the governing board on the budget and the possibility of an override in November of 2014. Got some interesting information from Jim Irving, who is heads up our volunteer program, and we really have a good one. There's a button on our website on the homepage. It's very easy to register to be a volunteer. There's a lot of information on there telling you what kinds of things are available, and we need help. I mean, we need volunteers. We need additional people, and that's one thing that makes our schools work and work well. And it's pretty amazing to see the amount of hours that people have contributed just this school year. Last year, for the entire year, the total was 9,400 hours. And you can see that so far, the first half of the year, this year, 8,340 hours. Like 330 volunteers, and you can see the different hours, the different levels. We actually have over 500 people registered in the system, and I think they're just waiting for the right opportunity to volunteer. But it's a great thing that people do to help us out, and greatly appreciate it. I've run into parents that have, volunteer up to 150 hours a year, and there's probably parents that do more, so it's greatly appreciated. A lot of interest in this topic. Our football coach and athletic director hiring timeline, as everybody knows, Corey Nienaber. Well, I assume the board will probably accept the resignation with regret tonight to make it official, but he announced this about a month ago. So we are moving forward with his replacement. He's a unique person in that he was able to do both jobs, and that's pretty unusual in high schools our size. He was a rare person, and it is possible, theoretically possible, that we could do that again, but we have listed them as 2 separate positions. The football position, of course, tied to a teaching position, and we anticipate openings in several departments, so we think we have a lot of options there for filling that position. And then we posted the athletic director position separately, the district athletic director position. So anyway, the positions were posted on January 6th. You can kind of see the timeline there. And we plan to begin interviews the first week of February. So by the 19th of February, we hope to have a recommendation for both of those positions. So that'll be a fun process to go through. Also wanted to announce that on February 11th at 4:30 p.m. we will begin at Maricopa High School with grade 6 intramural basketball. All the games will be played at the high school, and every elementary school will play every other elementary school, so you get 5 games. And we are planning to have a boys team and a girls team from each elementary school. I'm told that at Maricopa Elementary School they're having trouble recruiting girls right now, so any MES parents listening right now, make sure if you have a daughter that you get her signed up. It's possible they would go co-ed if they couldn't come up with a girls team. But that's going to be fun, and I know the kids are looking forward to that. And Mr. Nienaber is organizing that whole process. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I know Jackson is very excited for 6th grade basketball. He's been practicing every day. All right, that brings us to our governing board member reports. Governing board members?
I have nothing.
Yes, I have a few things. First off, I do want to congratulate again all the students that did participate in the spelling bee. I was able to make it, and it was really amazing to see them spell some of the words. And one of the words that, the winning word, well, close to the winning word, was bourgeois. And I've asked several coworkers and people coming into the office, and nobody can spell it. So congrats to the winner. Don't ask me. I would have been out in the first round.
B-O-U something.
B-O-U-G something something, but amazing. They were amazing. I just want to give a quick plug to the Desert Wind Middle School. They're going to have a winter showcase next Wednesday from 5:30 to 7 p.m., and it's going to be fun for the parents and the students and the families. So I will be going to the budget meeting, but leaving a little early because I want to make sure I'm there for my children. And lastly, I want to invite everybody to come out and support the Maricopa High School Band. They're actually going to be marching over from the high school to Our Lady of Grace Church for the festival. They open it up. They kick it off. They come. They play. And it's just it's free to come and show your support. And if you want to stay and have some fun, we've got plenty of things to do. So thank you.
Dr. Chestnut, I love this slide. I've been wanting that up there for a long time. There are email addresses. Please contact us if you have something good or bad or suggestions or things that you would like to say. There's our email addresses, and we are here to serve you and to make our schools a better place. So please get involved and email us. A couple things. I was able to be the pronouncer last night for the spelling bee, and I studied hard, but I was more afraid than the kids, I think, just to pronounce all those words. But it was pretty incredible. 25 students from elementary to middle school. And it was just, and the place was packed. We had the sides opened up, and the parents were here. So it was, our kids are successful because our parents are there. So parents are tremendous, and that's what's going to make our district an A district. The other thing I did was I am involved with the legislative process, and so March 10th is the day that I have coined to go down to the Capitol. So anybody that wants to go, whether it's parents, staff, I do think that's during spring break. So we're going to try to make it a Pinell County day. So anybody who'd like to go, I am going to make appointments with our representatives and talk about the House bills that are going to affect public education. They haven't been given numbers yet, but they are certainly meeting in committees and trying to get that information out there. It's important that you go to the website to get information, which is, again, I'll say it, it's azsba.org/take-action. And I've been working really hard with ASBA to get everything laid out so that all you have to do is click and you can have a letter that can either go to your editor of your newspaper or it can go to your representative. It's information that needs to get out there so that people understand that public education is going to be successful if we get involved and be a part of that movement. There is a petition on there about all-day kindergarten. There is a movement in the state. I've been to a couple of different conferences, and everybody's very concerned about the early education childhood system that we aren't supporting. So it's important that you get involved, go to that page, and there's all different things on there. So it's all laid out. It's pretty easy. I've always told them if it's not one click, it's not going to get done. So we've tried to make it one click. So check it out and put March 10th on your agenda. If you can go, I would love to have a whole group of people go. So that's all I have. Okay, that was a lot. All right, brings us to our information items work study. Dr. Chestnut.
Our tradition is to have a report from each school and give us some information on their academic program, really focusing on math. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Principal from Santa Cruz Elementary, Gina Chaffin.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, community members, thank you for having me this evening. I'm excited to tell you about the progress of our school so far this year. First, I want to talk about our logo. We have changed our logo this year. This was a coyote that was designed by one of our sixth grade students and then voted on. We had several samples of new logos. The kids had wanted to change it, and the student body voted on this design by one of our students, and it was a wide margin of votes. So that is our new logo. Before I show you the data that I want to share with you, I want to tell you that the slides that I'm going to show you focus on 3rd through 6th grade because our goal is to raise our state label. And so because the 3rd through 6th graders are the ones who test on AIMS, that is the focus of the slideshow. But I also want to brag about my 1st and 2nd grade as well. Our 2nd grade has maintained their expected growth so far this year, so we're very proud of that. And our 1st grade is leading the district with our math scores and our DIBELS. So we are very proud of our 1st graders this year too. What I did as a new principal, it was really important for me to see where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going this year. So the data that I'm going to show you is a comparison from 2010 and 11 to the present, because our 2010-11 school year was the last time that we had a B label, and then we went down. So it's very important for us to see where were we in the middle of this mid-year in 2010-11, what were the trends that we were seeing then, and what caused the C label, and where are we going to get that back up. Obviously, we will be an A eventually. All right. The first slide I'm going to show you, and I'm sorry the numbers are a little bit small, but in fact, Mrs. Larson, can you give the board members, I do have a hard copy for you? Oh, you do? Oh, okay, okay. So the numbers are a little small, but so for the community members, we can just kind of look at the bar graphs there. The blue bar is how Santa Cruz Elementary School scored as an entire school in math. We focused on math in these slides in 2010, or all the way across. The red bar is the grade level. The green bar is how we scored at our mid-year benchmark. And then the purple bar that you're looking at is the Ames AMO, which is the target for percent passing for the year. And that increases every year. In 2020, we're supposed to have 100% passing. And so the target, the Ames AMO for this year, is in third grade is 79%. And if you look at the trend in the data from 2010 to current, this year we have already surpassed our mid-year benchmark where we were in 2010 when we were a B label for third grade and fourth grade. We have surpassed where we were then. The other data is, these are growth charts from our second Galileo test. And what this did was measure our growth from the first benchmark to the second benchmark. In those growth charts with the scatter plot, there are 4 quadrants. The top right-hand corner quadrant is the level of growth, a higher level of growth, and also a higher level of achievement, meaning that those are the higher order questions that were answered and the number of correct answers. The bottom left is the lowest that we can be. It's low achievement and low number of correct answers. So we want to move toward that top right-hand quadrant, and third and fourth grade is making the move in that direction. So it is consistent with the percent passing that we're seeing. And the percent passing and the growth is what it determines our label. So we also looked at our developmental levels from our mid-year benchmark, and the developmental level is an indicator for how well we are expected to do on the Ames test. So if we look at, again, 2010-11 when we were a B, and we look at those numbers, they did go down for 2 years, and we've been at a C label for 2 years. And if you look at this year, our mid-year benchmark, we are trending upward again, and we are either meeting or surpassing where we were in 2010-11 at the mid-year benchmark. So what are we doing to get there? One of the things that we do is we have daily intervention times, and those intervention times are sacred. Those times are for interventions where we are pushing our exceeding kids, our meets kids to get into exceeding. We're pushing our exceeding kids to go further, and we are working with our falls far below kids to bring them up. So the students are grouped accordingly, and the teachers work with them. They do reteaching and enrichment activities with them. We also have what our third and fourth grade has done is, because our third and fourth grade scores right now are pretty remarkable, and what they have done is those interventions, doing response to intervention and the reteach and enrich, is really difficult unless you have 3 people. And we only have 2 teachers at each grade level except for first and 6th grade. So first grade and 6th grade has been able to do their interventions with 3 people, and it's been a struggle for the other grade levels. So third and fourth are right across the hallway from each other, and now they have 4 teachers. So when you walk down the hallway during intervention time at 3rd and 4th grade level, you may see 3rd graders in a 4th grade classroom and 4th graders in a 3rd grade classroom. But there is evidence that what they are doing is working. Daily collaboration. Our 3rd and 4th grade teams are they're very cohesive, and a lot of these things that I'm showing you here too also apply to 5th and 6th grade, but I have to show you those slides separately. But one thing that they do is they talk to each other every day, and they are on the same page every day. They are following our Beyond Textbooks calendar, and they just talk to each other. Hey, you know, my lesson didn't go so well today. My kids didn't get it. Did yours get it? Yeah, my kids got it. Okay, can we switch tomorrow? And that teacher will go next door the following day and teach those kids because her kids got it. And so there's just this collaboration between them that's really working. We started school-wide peer observations this year, and it was a bit uncomfortable. It wasn't something that the teachers have done before, but I do want our teachers to go in and watch each other because there's so many good things. I get to go into the classrooms and I get to see all these good things happening, and our teachers get stuck in their own world, and they need to go out there and see what's happening. And I started this based on my own experience when I was a teacher. I loved to go watch other teachers, and I would steal from them, steal their ideas, and use their ideas in my own classroom, and it proved to be very successful. And not only that, but it creates a culture for learning, a true PLC. So we've been doing that, and we're still working in a more positive direction, but I have gotten a lot of positive feedback and teachers getting really excited about neat things that they've seen around the school. We have also sent some of our teachers to other campuses, and my academic coach will cover a class so that a teacher can go to another campus where the academic coaches collaborate together, and they say, hey, you know, I've got a teacher that's struggling with this concept, but we've got one over at Butterfield that's doing great, and so they'll go over there and observe too. So that's been nice. We do have weekly grade level meetings with our academic coach, and those always prove to be beneficial, and continuous data review of formative and summative assessments. So we're continuously looking at our data and what we need to do, and taking the kids that need that help and grouping them into groups and making plans for what we're going to do for our kids that are not getting it, and also what are we going to do for our kids that are getting it, because we need to keep pushing them forward. This is our 5th and 6th grade percent passing. Our 6th grade is also on a trend upward, and we are having some challenges with 5th grade. And it's not exclusive to Santa Cruz. There have been some other 5th grade throughout the district that have seen some drops in scores. So I know that our data team at the district office is looking into the correlation between our Beyond textbooks and what is happening in Galileo, and if they are cohesive. But in the meantime, while district is doing their part, we have to do our part, so we have a plan of action for what we're going to do for 5th grade. And I'll talk about that in the next slide, because it's quite similar to what we did with 6th grade between the first and second benchmark. So our growth charts here are also consistent with what you're seeing in percent passing. Our 6th grade is definitely moving in the right direction, and our 5th grade does seem to be stuck on that growth chart there. So we have created a plan of action for what we're going to do with that. This is our developmental level, and the 5th grade DL scores, it looks like we are really trending upward, but that's a false positive right now because it's not consistent with the other 2 pieces of data. And that's why it's so important to look at all of the data, because if we look at the other grade levels, it's consistent with all the data, and so that really does give us a true indicator. So looking at those DL scores in 5th grade and knowing that their percent passing has dropped and their growth is not where it needs to be, I needed to look into it further, and the false positive comes from the students that did score high on the second benchmark had scored very low on the first benchmark. So it's a ceiling effect there okay? And then our sixth grade, on their first benchmark, they are moving in a trend upward as well. We do also have 21st Century Tutoring, and so that's something that's been helping, and that's not just available for 5th and 6th grade, it's available school-wide. What 6th grade did after their first benchmark was, yes, they saw some growth, however, it wasn't what they wanted to see. So they gladly restructured their schedule, and we took about 10 minutes out of each block, 10 to 15 minutes out of each block throughout the day, added in a smaller block of writing time in the afternoon so that we're not losing our 90 minutes of language arts. And then at the end of the day, they have extra time to do math interventions between the 3 teachers. And it proved to be effective because their scores did go up on the second benchmark, and their growth chart also represents that. So that is what we are going to do with 5th grade. We are restructuring their schedule, and our PE teacher has, he jumped right in, and he's going to be helping with those math interventions to be that third person. So we restructured our PE schedule, moved some classes around so that he has the same block of time every morning, and they are going to be focusing. They are still going to keep their regular intervention time that we have already built into the schedule. So they now have 2 math intervention times throughout the day. And this intervention time where we are using Mr. Petrides as the third person will be to reteach those second benchmark standards, because we don't want to lose, we need to get those kids back up to where they need to be. And then our regular intervention time is going to be kept for the current standards, because we don't want them to get behind on the next benchmark or aims. And then we are also creating computer lab schedules so that our 5th and 6th graders can start Khan Academy and 10 marks, and we are waiting for our Chromebooks. So we are really waiting for our Chromebooks. So as soon as we get those, we are going to be doing some small group instruction and Khan Academy and 10 marks with those as well. Are there any questions so far?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you know how many of your 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students, or let's just pick 3rd grade, how many of those students attended Santa Cruz from kindergarten, and how many, because this was the first year we only had half day, so these kids all attended full day kindergarten, correct?
Yes, all of the kids on this chart
On these charts.
had attended full day kindergarten. I do not know the percentage. I did ask Rick Nielsen to look into that. He could not find the answer. He's asking Julie Becking to look into it to get it from Synergy. So as soon as I have that answer, I will email you with that, but I do not know the number. In my next slide with our challenges, we'll talk about the transiency of the...
Because I know Santa Cruz has always been very transient. I just wonder if it's stable to off a little bit, or if you're still seeing the influx.
Well, I don't... It's not stable. It is still very transient. So our challenges. There is a lack of technology. I would love to see smart boards in every classroom. Everybody would love to see smart boards in every classroom. Classroom computers for small group instruction to do small group rotations. Those computer stations are really important. We are going to be putting our Chromebooks to the best use possible. And we're hoping for all of those technology grants to come through. Lack of personnel. We all know that we're short-staffed, and we need extra personnel. I've been blessed this year to have a part-time TOSA on my campus, and the days that she is there definitely makes a difference. And having her there has helped me to get into classrooms more. Since before she was there. So having that extra person on campus is always a benefit for the principal to be an instructional leader. We have a lack of time, but that's education. That's never going to change. But I do want to combine that with the staff meetings, because I have not had an opportunity to meet with my staff on a regular basis this year because of different, our schedule, the schools that have the 21st century, it makes it very difficult to meet with our staff as a whole because we have teachers tutoring after school. and we can't request people to work outside of their contract hours. So the only days that we do have are those Wednesday early release days to meet with the staff, and oftentimes they do have to go away for PD. So when we do have staff meetings, they are beneficial, and we really do. For example, we looked at this data together last week as a staff, and it was a really good meeting for collaboration and building that community and a PLC, and I would like to see that more next year. So, to have more time with my staff. We have some PD needs, and that is not a reflection of the district, because the district does offer PD, and it is very valuable. But we are moving into a charter, and so I will be requesting, specific PD for my staff that I would like to see them have that they haven't had this year.
Will you define PD for those people
I'm
that don't
sorry,
know?
professional development,
Okay.
yes. Our demographics, we do have a transient population. Our percentage of students that have moved in and out of Santa Cruz after the 10th day of school is at about 24%
Yeah.
this year, so it is very high. We have a high special needs population, but they are also showing that they're showing a lot of growth, but it's the time factor. And we do have large class sizes, and I had to put half-day kindergarten up there just because it's not a challenge for this data, but it will be. We know that our first grade teachers are going to have to work twice as hard next year. And other challenges, the changes that we've been through this year, change is always hard, and we've had a lot of changes this year. Beyond Textbooks is new, and teachers are learning how to match Beyond Textbooks to the current curriculum that we have. I think that Santa Cruz has done a very good job. They've been very positive about it, so, but it was still a change indeed, and a lot of learning. There's a big learning curve there. There was the addition of the 6th grade to the elementary campuses, and so that was a big change, and we had a lot of grade level changes, teacher movement, and new administration, and it takes time to assess and build a culture. And we've done a little restructuring in our school this year. We've changed some policies and procedures, and we've just been making a lot of changes, and with that just brings unique challenges that take up my time from the instructional leadership. I like to be in classrooms. I like to be in classrooms a lot, and I haven't, my goal this semester is to get in more, but I did have a lot of challenges last semester that kind of kept me out of the classroom, so I feel like we could even be better if, once we get to that point. Things are starting to settle down a little bit, but, it's the trials and tribulations of a first-year principal, so that is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you. It was very thorough. I mean,
Okay.
it was nice to hear how you're using your academic coaches and how they collaborate, because we haven't heard exactly what they do, so it's nice to know what they actually do.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
We just,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Mrs. Chapin, and Santa Cruz staff for hanging out with me for the night. And Mr. Petrides, love PE. I'm a PE person. So thank you. Dr. Chestnut.
Next up, Wade Watson, our Director of Curriculum, is going to talk a little bit about peaceable playgrounds. As you know, we've been looking at ways to improve our playground atmosphere at our elementary schools, and he has some information for us.
President Anderson, Governing Board. As Dr. Chestnut said, one of the things that we've been looking at is a structured recess program in the district. I know one of the programs that was introduced to you recently was the Playworks program. I've done some investigation on the Peaceable Playgrounds program, which is tied to the Project Adventure program, which is the ropes course that we used to have and we've been investigating. So it doesn't require that you have a Project Adventure program, but there are some cool things that can be tied to it. So some of the highlights of the Peaceable Playgrounds program is that, again, it's a program to structure recess to cut back on aggressive playground behavior, to organize non-competitive games, and model and support pro-social behavior. One of the things that has been presented to us in looking at these structured recess programs is the idea that these programs help cut down on the number of behavior incidents that tend to be more frequent during unstructured time. So that's kind of the big sell behind these programs, is that you structure that time, that your students are more engaged in activities that are led by either your playground aides or your PE teacher or your teachers or parent volunteers and so forth. With this program, they do recommend 3 days of training for the program, in which they would bring, or we would bring, a trainer in at the cost of $1,200 a day for up to 25 staff members or volunteers, plus any travel expenses for the trainer. Day 3 of the training involves modeling of what they've learned actually on their site with their schools. So if this is something that we wanted to look at for all of our elementary schools, the cost might change a bit, as modeling is probably pretty important to the success of the program, and you may want to do that at each of the sites. Another difference between this and the Playworks program that you saw is that the idea behind this is that you really take ownership of it on your campus, and that somebody on your campus, they recommend your PE teacher, become the leader of the program, and that person then continuing on would be your site trainer for anybody who would become new to the program in years to come. So rather than having a person that would be hired through Playworks, for example, you would take your existing staff and make sure that there is leadership there. Similar to the Playworks program, this program also takes into the account of encouraging student leadership, including 4th and 5th grade students in becoming leaders of these recess activities and games, and teaching them how to facilitate those activities, as well as become encouraging of other students and inclusive of all students. So it's not too different than what you would have seen with Playworks, just some minor differences. I will say that this program is a little newer to Project Adventure. They've had it for a short time. They do not have it in any of the local schools, any of the schools in Arizona. It has been more of an East Coast model, but they, of course, are eager to expand if given the opportunity. And other than that, I asked a few questions about pricing and that type of information that I've shared with you, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask me some questions, and hopefully I've gathered enough information to answer them. But if I haven't, I'd be happy to contact the rep and make sure to pass those answers on to you.
So this is something that could be done like during the summer, so staff can be ready?
It could,
for the
yes.
fall, or?
It could, except that their preferred method would be to do the modeling portion actually during a real student
During
recess.
school.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
For 3 days.
For 3 days, and you can train up to 25 people during that training.
And then after that, those 25 people, if someone else needs to be trained, somebody in that 25 has leadership, or they would be the ones to train that one other person that might be joining that staff.
From year to year, correct, yes.
And is that 25 people throughout the school district, or is that 25 people at each school?
That would be our choice. You could do it either way.
It's a lot less than the other one.
Yeah.
I'm just,
But it sounds like the same thing in a lot of ways. It
It
sounds like
does.
a really good program.
Right, the main difference is it just doesn't come with a staff member. That's really the main difference.
But right now, we utilize our existing staff to supervise playground activities, correct? And volunteers if we can get them. So, I mean, they would just now have something to go by.
Correct.
curriculum,
Yeah,
yeah.
Recess curriculum, structured recess
Yeah.
We
curriculum.
teach appropriate and inappropriate behaviors.
yeah.
Correct.
But this does not take the place of PE,
No, it does not.
but it can be taught in PE.
Correct, yes. It can, and that is actually something that they recommend, yes. That your PE teacher really be the leader, because a lot of these activities can be taught in the PE classroom and then carried on to the playground.
Okay.
So the next step then? If schools are interested in this, they would put the request in? I mean, if.
Yeah, we've been talking about this as a leadership team with the principals, and so I think our next step is to go back and talk to them more in depth about the differences between Peaceable Playgrounds and Arizona Playworks, and come up with their recommendation, their feelings, and just keep you posted on what that is and how we'd recommend moving forward from here, given the choices that we have.
Go ahead, Leslie.
And I'm not sure, I mean, I don't know, do we have a high bullying rate in this school? I mean, I know kids are going to be kids and they're going to do what they're going to do, but is that pretty much as much under control as it can be?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if you have one incidence of bullying in a year, then that's one too many.
Right.
I think it's something we work really hard on. Student safety is something we take very seriously, and as I visit schools, I think I see that on a day-to-day basis. But at the same time, we know it's something that, we have continually be vigilant on. I mean, there's so many ways that students can bully others now, with social media being a good example. And I know that this is one reason that elementary principals are very interested in one of these programs, a program like this, because we know that the problems happen at recesses at elementary, or they happen, at lunch or class breaks at the secondary level. And so it's that time that's somewhat unstructured that can be a problem. And so the more we can structure that time at the elementary level, we think we can get even better student behavior. We can get them to do even better. So I think that's the goal.
The key selling point with both programs is the idea that you're promoting that responsible social behavior and inclusive of all and tolerance and so forth.
Mr. Watson, do you know when I taught at ASU, this was incorporated into their PE curriculum. They talked about it, and they talked about how to incorporate it into the classroom. Do you know, has anybody contacted ASU to find out if they still incorporate some of this into their current curriculum?
I have not. I was not aware of that, and the rep did not bring that up.
Okay. Okay. Because I know when I was there, we used to. So I just wonder.
Apparently, the person who developed this curriculum no longer works for the company and has established their own company. So that may be why, yes.
But I can give you a couple of professors at ASU
That'd be
are
great.
familiar with it.
That would be
Okay.
great to have some more information.
Okay. Well, I like it, but I'm partial. So I'll be quiet. Any other questions for Mr. Watson?
Well, I do have a couple of questions, just one question. So we have the playbook in the last presentation, and now we have this one. So Dr. Chestnut, are you going to present both programs to the staff and they decide, or how do we?
Right. We've been involving the PE teachers in particular in these discussions because they're key players in it. We've been involving the principals, and we're still kind of going through that feedback process. I think we need to talk to teachers specifically about this program as well as the principals, and then get some more feedback. So yeah, we have a little more work to do before we bring a recommendation.
I think this is a great program.
And could it be that a couple of schools want to do one and a couple of schools want to do the other, or is it all or none?
I think it's possible we could do something like that. Yeah.
I mean, Playworks was quite expensive, I thought, and that was a concern for me.
Yeah, Playworks is a lot more expensive because you have that staff position, so it's $30,000 per school. Yeah, so it's a lot more.
You what?
You get more bang for your buck in this particular program, which I think pretty much has the same system, the same values, the same expectations.
Yeah, very similar, yes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else. Thank you. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Email me and I'll contact the rep if
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Oh, you have all the answers.
Oh, sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. 5C. That would be you. Mrs. Vitrell.
Here,
Yeah.
the board had asked for some information on what kind of professional development do we offer to our teachers, and this is really, I think, a wonderful thing that MUSD does, and we provide a lot of professional development for teachers. And I've heard teachers that have gone to other districts have come back and told us, you know, some of our competitive districts aren't providing as much professional development. So I think it's something we do a really good job on. And Heidi Rattle is our professional development coach. She kind of heads up most of this. It's a team effort with Krista Roden and others, but I know she has a lot to share with us. So Heidi, thank you.
Please ask any questions that you have. I need the clicker unless you would like to click for me. Thank you. A lot of my work is facilitated through the academic coaches at each site. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is site-based, but then a lot is district-based as well, where we bring teams of teachers here to the district. One of the big roles that we have in professional development is our induction and our mentoring program. The induction piece is for those teachers that are new to the district, regardless of their years of experience. So we bring them in for several days prior to the school year starting, and those returning teachers come back so we can kind of acclimate them to the way we do things in Maricopa. The mentoring piece is for those beginning teachers, our 0 to 3 years of experience in teaching total. So we spend much more time working with those beginning teachers so that we can improve their retention and grow their practice much quicker. At Maricopa Wells this year and Maricopa High School, we have specific teachers that are assigned as mentors. They're the only campuses that have that at this moment. At the elementary schools, we have academic coaches at every site, and they do a lot of that mentoring. Our elementary school with the highest population of beginning teachers is Maricopa Elementary School, and I've been spending a lot of time there working with their new teachers with Janet Stensgaard, their academic coach. Maricopa Wells and the high school have a higher percentage at the secondary level of beginning teachers. So we do have 4 teachers at that level that are classified as Arizona Master Teachers. What that means is they've gone through an application and certification process through the Arizona K-12 Center to become a Master Teacher. In that, they have to put their practice up for review. They have to videotape themselves teaching. They have to answer questions. They have to write a paper explaining why they do the things they do to prove to the Arizona K-12 Center that they are a master teacher. Then in return, that gives them more credibility in the mentoring program. The reason that we're working with the Arizona K-12 Center, or one of the reasons besides that they're amazing, is that they have an opportunity for a grant that we are applying for again this year. It will, if we are successful, bring us over $250,000 to put into developing a more comprehensive mentoring program to bring to our teachers. Over half of our new teachers this year are within their first 5 years of teaching. Research shows that teachers at 5 years, they're either going to stick with teaching or they're done. So one of the goals of the grant is to improve that retention and grow teacher practice so we don't lose so many teachers in the profession.
What about Desert Wind?
Desert Wind has a very low percentage of teachers in their beginning years of teaching. We have, at the beginning of the school year, there was one. Rachel Tucker is our math coach, and she spends time with that teacher at Desert Wind. But they did not have the beginning teacher population that Maricopa Wells did or the high school. Plus, they don't have an Arizona Master Teacher at their site, so the teachers that we have as master teachers working in the mentoring program also teach a full day. So they don't have a release time to be able to go to 2 campuses. So the teacher at Maricopa Wells teaches a full day, does her mentoring on top of that, so going to Desert Wind wasn't practical.
So do we review this on a yearly basis based on what our teachers are at the different school sites then?
We do, because the new hires change each year of where the population is. Last year, Desert Wind had a higher population. This year, they don't. MES traditionally, Maricopa Elementary traditionally has a higher population of beginning teachers, so we spend more time there. Plus, they're a larger elementary school also.
So could one of those teachers at Desert Wind or any of the elementary schools apply to be a master teacher?
Any teacher in the district can apply to be a master teacher as long as they have 3 years of teaching experience. They have to go through an application process, and then it's reviewed at the Arizona K-12 Center. We have right now, I believe I have 6 teachers that are going through the process. They changed their process this year at the K-12 Center, so the teachers have to complete the Take 1, which is the first entry of the national board process. So they're using national teaching standards and the in-task standards to prove their practice. So I have 6 teachers going through that process right now, so we'll find out if they achieve and become master teachers next school year.
So are you encouraging other teachers to do this? I mean, I would think we'd want them at every campus, so
Absolutely.
somebody at Desert Wind needs to step up.
I agree. I
Okay.
have asked.
So I'm putting the word out there.
I have asked, we have advertised throughout the district to every teacher that the opportunity is there. We offer support. The district is paying for their entry fee to that Take 1 national board process. So the support is there for our staff to do it. It's getting our teachers to step up, like you said, and take that risk.
So we are financially supporting this, correct?
We're supporting them in the application process, and I provide coaching for those teachers that are going through the process. So yes, there is a financial piece that the district has approved a certain number of teachers to go through the process each year. This year, I only had 6 of the 10 that were allotted.
Is it an expensive process?
The Take 1 process is not. It's about $400.
Okay.
The entire national board process is $2,500 or more
Okay.
For the national board.
for the national
National
board,
board.
yeah.
But we had slots for 10 teachers and only 6 signed up.
Correct. It's a commitment. It's a lot of work on the
Yeah.
teacher's part to prove their practice. But the benefits far outweigh that work, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I went through that process last year and the national board process the year before, so it's an amazing process, and it proves to you and lends to your credibility as a teacher as well. Any other questions about the mentoring or?
Thank you.
The grant's due next week, and we'll find out in March, so keep your fingers crossed. All right, some of our big initiatives this year. The entire first semester has been dedicated to the ADE pilot evaluation system. I have spent countless hours with student learning objectives and trying to make that process acceptable and better for our teachers. This will be our last year with that, so next year we will have to adjust what the state has taught us to meet our needs in Maricopa, so we may be coming back with some changes or additions to our Maricopa evaluation system in the future. A couple of the other big things, of course, is beyond textbooks. We did just finish a Thinking Maps Trainer of Trainers model, so next year we will be implementing that within the district as well. We have our administration, our academic coaches, our national board certified teachers, and our secondary master teachers participating in a cognitive coaching training, and that's 8 days of intense training on how to work with other teachers to get them to become self-directed learners. So many times in a coaching role, it's just tell me what to do. Heidi, I don't want to think, just give me the answer. This is my problem. The whole goal of cognitive coaching is to get our teachers to become self-directed and be able to solve more of their own problems. One of the goals then would be for us to implement this with our students as well. Secondary math teachers, we spent quite a bit of funding and time and energy with training our secondary math teachers on some of the new Common Core differences and some new ways to teach things. And then the cultural awareness and diversity when we had Kelvin Terrell come in December. Any questions about those? We're continuing our promising practices from last year. However, they have been diminished, I guess, because of the ADE pilot evaluation system and the enormity of that at the beginning of the year. We're continuing our Marzano book studies. This year, we're starting the art and science of teaching and continuing classroom instruction that works for those new teachers. Our student engagement strategies, a few weeks ago, we had Kagan come, which is a big trainer of critical thinking and student engagement strategies, and really getting our students involved in what's going on in the classroom to be active participants rather than just being able to sit in their seat and not really be there. So that was exciting. That was on a Saturday. We had 60 teachers give up their day. They didn't get paid to come in. They came in for the training, and it was amazing. Here's just some of the other things that I support with the district. I'm working with some teachers who are at risk and providing support and coaching for them throughout the district. We also provide support for our teachers that are seeking national board certification and that Arizona Master Teacher Achievement. I support the district with the emergency response plan and our teachers and our principals with our teacher evaluation system. Sometimes our teachers have questions about what this means, or how do I score this, or what does this all mean to me? So I spend a lot of time working with our teachers on the teacher evaluation system. Any questions about those?
We do a lot for
We
our
do.
teachers. I mean, it's,
Just that. Do you do this on a daily basis, just creating, I mean, it's amazing. It's really amazing what you're doing. I'd like to take it. I think it'd be great.
I love my job. It is a lot of fun. It's never the same. Every day is different. I think one of the benefits is I've been in Maricopa a long time, so I have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things. So I can be a support in a lot of different ways. So in my mind, I think it looks like I do a lot more than I do, but
But this goes on at every school? Or
my support is at every school site, yes. A lot of what I do, like I said, is facilitated through the academic coaches at the elementary school sites, especially.
Wow.
All right, some plans for the future. Throughout next school year, one of my big goals is to increase our teacher leader population. We have a lot of teachers who are leaders in their profession. Their goal is not to become a principal. They are great teachers, and they can teach other teachers. So I need to build those teachers up so that they can help present some professional development, so they can take on roles and responsibilities and committees and things like that in the district. We're going to be implementing the thinking maps next year, and then making those adjustments to our evaluation system to meet our needs in Maricopa. Within the next 2 years, two of our big goals are that we would like to have our own team of Kagan-trained trainers. That's a big proposition. It's a big commitment on the district's part. The training is in Florida. There are a couple of different things that you have to go through, but Krista and I have been drooling to be Kagan trainers for probably 15 years. So that's one of our big goals. And then love and logic trainers. We want to have a team of love and logic trainers. Right now we have a couple trainers at Maricopa Elementary School and at the high school, but we really want to bring that in. It's a parent training component that we can add to our support for our community and our parents. Any questions about that?
For a lot.
We try.
You have a great job.
It is a great job. I agree. Right.
thank you, Heidi, for clarifying that. It's hard to know everything that's going on, but
It's nice to know.
it's
very
nice to know that there is that much out there for teachers if they choose to do it. Okay, 5D, Dr. Chestnut.
As you know, we talked about making some minor changes in our board self-evaluation document, and we looked at it at our last meeting, and I think the feedback was there was just too much in there, too many indicators and that kind of thing. This is more of a trimmed-down version, and probably the main difference is that it adds area number 6, which is advocacy, and then it has kind of some open-ended questions at the end, which our current form doesn't have, which I think could promote some good discussion. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to what we've been using in the past. I asked, sent an email to all board members and asked for any feedback on this, if anybody had concerns or changes they would request, and I didn't get any feedback, so usually that's a good sign. So maybe, that's the other possibility. So our practice is not to vote on exhibits, but if there's no objections, I would put this version in the book.
Two very minor things. 1.3 is a duplicate of 6.1, and 3.2 is a duplicate of 6.2. So we could probably, I mean, word for word, they're the same. So we could probably just take, I would remove 1.3 and 3.2 and leave it under the advocacy, because I think that's where
Okay.
it belongs.
We can sure do that.
I liked it. I liked the advocacy portion, and I
Yeah.
like the questions at the end, because it's more of that critical thinking. It's thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
which we're trying to promote to our students, so we should be promoting it within ourselves as well. So I like it, and the
Yeah.
two suggestions were the two that I had as well.
Okay, that'd be easy to change, you bet.
Okay,
Good job, thank you.
No problem.
that was easy. All right, that brings us to our consent agenda. Do we have any motions?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7A, Mr. Beckett,
Poor Mr. Beckett.
our HR schedule.
Members of the Governing Board, Dr. Chestnut, you have in front of you tonight our personnel schedule. I do have one correction that I'd like to make. On number 34, we're going to be striking that particular overload stipend, which would change our total on the cover sheet down from that 91,600 figure to 88,600. I will then take your questions. Mrs.
Well-
Coutray?
Yeah, I do have just a couple. Just a clarification, number 20, that new position, we didn't create it, it's been existing, we just hadn't filled it?
That is correct.
Okay. And just to kind of clarify, because I was a little confused, and if anybody else looked at it, they might be just as confused. 21 and 22, we have no name by 21, and it's a little, and it's, we have one listed as MHS registrar, second position, 5,000, and high school, and the second one is listed as high school registrar. Could you kind of explain those two?
Absolutely, and thank you for an opportunity to clarify that. The intent is we are viewing the registrar role to need 2 full-time people in order to do that. In the past, we had a registrar and we had a records clerk. And so what we're proposing in number 22 is reclassifying that records clerk to one of the registrar positions, and then actually reclassifying the records clerk position itself to a registrar position. So, and the difference between the records clerk salary and the registrar would be about that $5,000 for an entire year.
So it's really just one position?
It actually is going to be 2 positions.
But you don't have anybody hired in the 21 yet.
That's correct.
That's why it's blank.
Right. It's just simply
Okay.
reclassifying that position.
Now I get it.
Thank you.
Light bulb.
Okay. And then I just want to clarify on all the stipends.
Yes.
These are positions that were actually in place at the beginning of the school year to take up the load for not having to hire as many teachers. And so these are classes that are already currently scheduled for the spring semester, correct?
That is correct.
And this is the spring stipend for them to teach these classes in the spring.
That is correct.
Okay.
For the majority of those overload stipends.
Okay.
The intent is we reevaluate at the beginning of the second semester just to make sure that we don't just approve somebody because we had a class load overload for the first semester doesn't mean we're going to have one for the second semester.
Right.
So the high school and the middle schools take some time, they look through those schedules, pare back where we can, and just grant overloads to only those people that we really need to give.
That the classes are actually scheduled and are going to be taught?
That is correct.
Okay. And then the case management overload, those were for the IEPs that needed to be done, correct?
That is correct. Dr. Chestnut, did you want to say something about that?
I was going to say.
Okay, well, very good. Mhm.
I just cut you off, sorry.
These overload stipends, it's just for the high school teachers?
No, there are,
It's
I
middle
believe there's one in there for a middle school
Middle
teacher
Okay.
as well, yes.
But it's just because we didn't have the people in place at the beginning of the school year
To do the-
get all the IEPs done.
For
And
the
so we
case
had
overloads.
to- Yeah, for the
That is
case
correct.
overloads.
Yes.
And we had to be in compliant with the state.
The case management overload stipend, is that determined by the number of cases that they take? Because I noticed you've got two different amounts on here.
That is correct. I believe number 58 and 59 have because their roles a little different than the teachers that are the other overload stipends from 52 through 57.
Okay.
So because of their roles different, they're getting a lesser amount because some of their work is involved actually with case management. But again, they are assuming additional cases above what their typical load would have been in their roles as program specialists.
Okay.
And just more specifically to all of those case management stipends are for about 15 students. Some might have 16, some might have 14, but somewhere around 15.
It's a lot of IEPs to write.
Yep. And that includes the ones for $1,500. They're just still doing about the same number of. Yes, roughly, yes.
Okay. All right, I'm done with my questions, thank you. Leslie?
I have no questions.
Okay. Is there any motions?
I move to approve the HR schedule.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, motion to adjourn. Or is there a motion to adjourn? Sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are officially adjourned. It is
Woohoo.
8:03.